is ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello again, this is CoreTV News on the Hour with Nifemi Oguntoye. Popular Nigerian human rights lawyer Bamidele Aturu is dead, though details surrounding his death is still sketchy. On just a few days before he breathed his last on Wednesday, had told CoreTV News of his inability to honor invitation to our studios due to failing health, details of which were never disclosed. He owned a law firm with broad experience in litigation and court drafting. The firm prided itself in simplification and demystification of law and making law accessible to people as its major objectives. One of his last interviews was granted to CoreTV News last month at his chamber in Lagos. He spoke extensively on major national issues, including the military presence in Ekiti, days before the just concluded June 21 governorship election.
That militarist mentality still holds sway. We still think that unless we flood the place with soldiers, flood the place with policemen, there's no security. And that is the tragedy of our situation. Because you can do the Ekiti election without creating this frenzy, this excitement, this panic. Now you are going to scare away some of the voters. I mean, there are people who say, look, at my age, maybe I'm 70 years or 80 years, why should I go and queue up when somebody can just kill you accidentally? So I think that we need to go back to the drawing board and train our law enforcement agents.
Though there were more questions begging for answers at the time of the interview, the lawyer parted ways with our crew on this note.
Well, I think that's a matter that we can discuss more extensively another time.
Unfortunately, that time, going and very accessible lawyer died at 49. May his soul rest in peace. One day after evading journalists at the National Council of State meeting, Adamawa State Governor Murtala Nyako has broken the silence on the impeachment saga. Nyako was at the presidential villa for a meeting at the Safe School Initiative and used the opportunity to bear his mind on developments in the state. He added that he can count on the support of President Goodluck Jonathan.
Well, it is at the court, and the court said it was not well done. We are hoping that if they want to do it, they'll do it following the normal process or whatever they want to do.
Did you approach the president to interview?
Not yet. It has not reached that crisis point.
And you believe you will have fair hearing?
I should have. We have supported him all this time, and he has supported us. And in a situation like this, when Mr. President's support is required, we will seek it. But even hoping that he will give it to us without asking for it.
Meanwhile, as the impeachment proceedings against Governor Murtala Nyako and his deputy Balangilari progresses, the sincerity of the state legislators has been brought to question. On return to the state after weeks of absence, Nyako says he wondered why the lawmakers who had passed a vote of confidence on him just last year now sing a new song. The reason for the sudden turnaround is a puzzle that many residents are curious to unravel.
In October last year, members of the Adamawa State House of Assembly passed a vote of confidence on Governor Murtala Nyako and his deputy, Bala James Ngilari. 8 months later, the legislators are calling for the heads of the executive officers. Residents have questioned the double standard exhibited by the legislators.
I don't dabble into all those things because it makes no point. He may have settled them at that time. But for whatever reason this time, thank God, they refused or they could not be settled.
One of the PDP elders in support of the impeachment, Andrew Sawa, says their decision was not wrong.
Mistakes had been made, and the only way we can correct it is to support the House of Assembly in regards to what they have already done, so that they can finally complete that action.
It shows that democracy is working. For too long, the state houses of assembly had been in the pockets of governors. And that's why this country has been run the way it has gone, with abysmal corruption at the highest level of governance in the states. No, with impunity. This shows that the days of impunity is over. At least Adamawa is kickstarting something good. And I hope that other states will emulate what Adamawa is doing. That the days of impunity is over. If you have had the privilege of visiting other states, even your neighboring state of Gombe, which is a new state, or Jos, you will come back crying.
Untouchable allegations against the governor and his deputy are believed to have begun work. Meanwhile, members of the Adamawa State House of Assembly went on a month-long recess just when the heat is on. Residents say they wonder if that will enhance or impede the impeachment process.
The absence of the legislators has no effect, as I understand, on the impeachment process itself, because at the moment the ball is in the court of the panel, the seven-member panel that has been constituted by the Chief Judge. But the legislature is always the bastion of democracy. It is the symbol of democracy. It is in the legislature that issues that affect the ordinary man and the ordinary person in the society are discussed and addressed. So I agree that the legislature should have been here to look at issues that affect the welfare of the masses, payment of salaries, provision of infrastructural facilities, water supply, health, and so on and so forth. For instance, at the moment, doctors are on strike, and it aggravates the already bad health situation in the country. So perhaps the legislature should be around to find ways of addressing some of these problems.
The general consensus among residents has been in support of the legislators.
To pass a vote of confidence on him was to give him the confidence that yes, he will be welcome. When that didn't work and it was going from bad to worse, the next thing is to impeach him.
Governor Nyako had survived an impeachment during his first tenure. The federal government had to wade into the face-off between him and the lawmakers. The second impeachment attempt may yet follow the same course, as two past heads of state and some traditional rulers are said to be on a move to save the embattled governor.
The federal government says some local politicians are in custody in Bauchi State following the recent operation to dislodge insurgents from their base in Bamo Forest. Coordinator of the National Information Center, Michael Mary, says the politicians were arrested after party registration cards were found in some of the suspects.
The statement came out about the expedition carried out at Bamo Forest in the Arazo area of Bauchi State, where our forces had an encounter with some insurgents. As a result thereof, certain items were found that have direct link with some politicians. And this is raising more questions and pointing to the direction. So the politicians are being interrogated following the interrogation of these sensitive materials, including voter registration cards and symbols of the particular political party. Investigations are ongoing. We will look for further identities of individuals or persons in connection with this discovery.
The House of Representatives says it will investigate the alleged failure of video surveillance and closed-circuit cameras installed in some of the country's major cities. The House has directed its committees on ICT and public safety alongside Committee on National Security to conduct the investigations. Pao Sami reports that the committees are to report back within 2 weeks.
This is one of the surveillance cameras procured by the Yar'Adua administration as part of a public security communications system. But years after the $470 million system was put in place, there are suggestions that the cameras are not functional. The matter was raised in the House of Representatives, with lawmakers arguing that the CCTV cameras are not serving the purpose of intelligence gathering.
Again, recall that the federal government had also awarded a contract for the installation of 2,000 digital solar-powered cameras, 1,000 for Lagos and 1,000 for Abuja. They have resolved to mandate the committees on ICT and public safety and national security to investigate the failure of the video surveillance and closed-circuit television cameras to detect criminal activities in Nigerian cities and report back to the House.
Security has been a challenge in this country, but it has even been more so now that we have this insurgency. But the insurgency, in another way, has brought into the open our lack of consciousness when it comes to security, and therefore it has spurred the government into action to provide, not even government, all of us. Security-wise, I know we can still do better, and but the irony of the whole thing, when the bomb went up the last time in here in Abuja, some plazas, they went to buy these frisking machines and all the rest. It's now, I don't think it's up to 2-3 weeks when it happened. Those machines have disappeared from those plazas again.
At the end of the brief debate, the matter was referred to the relevant committees for investigation. Also on Wednesday, the House considered a bill for an act to authorize the issue of 332.6 billion naira from the Statutory Revenue Fund of the Niger Delta Development Commission to complete abandoned projects in some communities in the region.
The Committee on Niger Delta Development Commission has a duty, enormous responsibility to monitor the implementation of this very budget. I am therefore in all force in support for the passage of this budget, because the context of the budget is one that will help to transform the Niger Delta area.
Mr. Speaker, there is certainly no basis for that. It cannot be sustained. It's certainly unfair. It's unjust. I don't think anybody should support that. As if that's not enough, Mr. Speaker, many ongoing projects are not captured in the budget. Projects for which there are already commitments. Projects awarded in 2012, 2013, some in 2011. Several of them are not funded in the project, are not even listed. Talk about being funded.
The members are expected to resume plenary on Thursday to further deliberate on other bills before the House. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
You're watching CoreTV News live from Lagos. We'll take a break and I'll be back with more stories shortly. Don't go away.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Welcome back. Somalia's president has sacked his police and intelligence chiefs after Islamist Shabab fighters launched a major assault against his palace for the second time this year. Recent Shabab attacks have targeted key areas of Somalia's government and security forces, apparently to discredit claims that authorities are winning the war. A Shabab spokesman confirmed that the group is behind the attack and claimed the commandos had seized President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed's office inside the compound known as Villa Somalia. However, government dismissed their claim, saying that Al-Qaeda-linked gunmen had been killed near the entrance of the compound. Eyewitnesses say at least 9 attackers were involved and had all been killed. They had been dressed in government army uniforms. Bomb disposal experts detonated several explosive devices, including a suicide vest that one attacker was wearing that had failed to detonate. President Mohammed was not in the complex at the time of the attack. He later delivered a defiant message close to the charred wreckage of the car bomb that gunmen used in their attempt to storm the compound. That wraps it on CoreTV News this hour. I'll be back at the top of the hour for more stories. Core Digest continues shortly. Stay with us.